Hi, this is Jeff Fleming from Crucial Dimensions. Our work spanning 10 years in education has increased significantly over the last 2 years. The pressures from COVID, changes in work environments, demands from education departments and parents, and changes in syllabuses in schools is causing great educators to leave and not come back. Not to mention the significant shortage of teachers around Australia. Today, Master Trainer Valerie Lou Kudrowski with thought leaders Penny Markham and Darren Cox will share with you the significant power of teaching people globally proven speak-up skills and the impact it has upon cultures and education.
That's where courses like Crucial Conversations become so important. Because if you've got a faculty and it's tense, or they don't like whatever's going on, but they don't feel as though they can approach a head of department about that, or if you've got a head of department who can't talk to someone else about what's going on with what's actually courses like Crucial Conversations, and that was going to be the next part. Specifically, what do? I actually do a lot of training for staff on areas that are more about them as a person and a professional than it is necessarily about outcome 1A. Like, there's a lot of courses being delivered on how to teach, this dot point and this dot point in a syllabus. But how much do we do to train staff in conflict resolution? How much do we do with staff on actually how to change management processes? And yet a lot of what you do as an educator is conflict resolution. And it's whether it's a parent, it's colleagues, it's kids in front of you.
Yeah.
And so for me, doing a lot of that work to give staff the skills to be the best version of themselves actually then helps alleviate a whole lot of their stress, because they now feel as though they've actually got some skills to go into a whole lot of those situations. So that's some of the things that I do in that space. And some of those skills are transferable into other organisations that they are a part of, sporting groups and church groups and whatever it be outside of school, into their own relationships with others, because actually now I'm equipping them to be the best versions of themselves. And I think that staff go, wow, that's that sense of belonging and belief.
Absolutely.
This guy believes in me enough to do training on something which isn't even necessarily about that syllabus dot point, but I'll be able to do that better because I'm better. So that's some of the things that I've tried to do as well.
I completely agree. I think that the investment in professional learning is so very important for leaders, for our teachers and for our educators. And we have invested a lot of time and energy and effort into creating programs that really do focus probably mostly on leadership and relationships.
Yes.
And not just relationships within the context of, say, the early learning environment and what you're doing as a profession in terms of teaching and learning for children, but also how you actually develop those relationships with families and how you develop a different understanding, I suppose, of what might be happening for families. Okay. And throughout, the last few years in particular, that's been incredibly important, because having that view of what might be going on for families, what might be happening for children, actually then changes the way that you might be supporting those children, or, might be actually, understanding, that really challenging behaviour or that thing that's happening for that child is having the impact on how they might be showing up every day in an environment where they might have been, in lockdown for a period of time when they're quite little, and then coming to an early learning environment where they have to learn to have this massive amount of relationships with all of these people that are really overwhelming. So that sort of professional learning is a really big thing for us. And as you said, Darren, Crucial Conversations has been as well. So some of our educators and teachers and our leaders say that until they've actually done Crucial Conversations training, they've been really, really scared to have conversations with families, that it's taught them how to have some of those difficult conversations about children's development, about, how they might be able to support families really differently. And that's been a really big change for us in terms of people actually feeling empowered to be able to have those conversations that previously actually terrified them, like quite literally terrified them.
Agree. Across the entire school, because like teaching, it's all about communication, isn't it? Constantly, it's all day, and so but we do very little training in that. So actually, if we can train our staff in how to have all of those conversations at the various levels, I fully agree. I've had so many staff say that was the best training that I actually ever did with them for a whole lot of reasons. And then culturally as a staff, it then gave us all the framework when we were going to have if we were going to disagree on how things were done, a process or an assessment or whatever. And actually now everyone goes, okay, we're about to do, and we've all got a framework. We've all got common language. We've got a common approach that we know we're actually going to address the issue, not the person so much. And that changed it, because now we had a culture where there wasn't a fear, and there wasn't a just, oh, I've got to put up with that, because there's only so long you'll put up with something before you go, oh, it's just not worth it anymore. So therefore, actually, let's allow our staff to work through that. So I agree, that was the best training I ever did with staff.
And it sounds as if you've both got a mutual purpose. You were talking, Penny, in terms of the mutual purpose between your educators plus the parents. You're talking about internally. What other outcomes have you seen?
Just so many amazing outcomes, I think. Just even in terms of some of our teachers and educators, and certainly our centre leaders, tell us that even when they've done crucial conversations and seen the benefits, if you like, in terms of their work and in terms of, you know, how it's established a way of having conversations with each other, that they've managed, you know, in their early learning space to address issues that might have been festering for a long time, how it might have changed the way they, you know, engage with families. They also talk about personal benefits, that they feel, you know, more confident even addressing issues, you know, say that might have been happening in their family life or, you know, with their partner, which we didn't really expect to be having a, you know, necessarily an impact on a personal level. But the number of stories that I've heard from people about outcomes, you know, personally and professionally have been, really significant.
Completely agree. Like, completely agree with that. I think it also helps staff develop that sense of resilience, because it now gives them some skills to handle a situation. And resilience is bouncing back from situations and stuff, right? Well, if we've now giving them some skills and tools actually how to handle those challenges, and so, you know, you only know if you've got resilience when you can bounce back from a situation. But we're now giving them some skills in that space as well. But I completely agree on what it did for people personally, professionally, culturally. It's been outstanding.
And also with change by the sound of it as well. And I mean, there's so much change in both of your environments. I don't even speak a little about how it's helping there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it provides a way of teams being able to talk to each other with that sense of alignment around what they're actually trying to achieve.
So it's interesting that we talk about collaboration being so important, but then we don't actually, very rarely do we give people the skills to actually know how to collaborate effectively. We will collaborate when it's comfortable. When we all agree, then we're happy to collaborate because it's all comfortable. But when two of us, three of us all disagree on a topic, now that's when we'll know if we've got true collaboration, because we can work through that together, and that gives them a skill. So we want staff to collaborate, but we very rarely give them the skills in actually how to do it at a deeper level. But sorry.
And that's okay, some of the language as well. So I was just thinking about what you were saying and thinking that I've heard educators and some of our centre leaders even talking about or asking each other, are we telling ourselves a story at the moment? Or, you know, are we actually, making something up that isn't quite accurate? Maybe we should, you know, challenge each other on that. And I've certainly done that even with my team, where because you're taking in some ways the personal out of it, and you understand that the person that you're speaking to generally is operating with pretty good intent, and you then, I guess, have the words to be able to say, and you said it before about the framework. So, you know, the framework or the words to be able to say, are we telling ourselves a story, or, you know, are we creating somebody in our organisation to be the villain, or are we acting like victims at the moment? And if we're acting like victims, what do we do about that? Because actually we do have the power to make a difference or change, you know, the way we're seeing things. So I think that the language part of crucial conversations has made a difference as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, for me, is actually when we talk about staff wellbeing, that is helping their wellbeing, because they now feel as though there is a way through, whether we call it change, chaos, whatever difficult situation, we're now giving some skills. So we're creating a culture and an atmosphere of joy and belief and belonging that we want to be a part of, that sense of optimism, and then we're giving skills in how to handle all those challenges and stresses that we talked about before. It's actually now how do we equip them for the skills. So we want to create the culture and then give the skills to be able to handle that, I think is really important.